Greetings and good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Wolf, and this has been a very special day in my channel because I finally released a project that I've had in mind for well over a year. And joining me this evening are the artist Starbat, who put together some fantastic images in the video I released this morning. Say hello, Starbat.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
And we were also fortunate to get Carmen, aka Mary Medley, who was the voice of Fluttershy in this project. And even though it wasn't really planned, it was only within the past hour we were chatting with each other on Skype, and she decided, oh, hey, I'd love to be a part of your podcast. And I said, okay, we'd love to have you be taking part because I know the audience would love to see you. So I'm glad to have you with us, Carmen.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to join.
I have to say, this has been a tremendous video from start to finish. This has been something I wanted to make sure was as perfect as it could possibly be given the limited resources we had to work with. But I am immensely grateful that so many people wanted to support the video right from day one. They really wanted to see Dr. Wolf take part in this and give individual sessions to each of the main 6. I mean, the channel art that I've had on my YouTube main page, Dr. Wolf and Fluttershy, that was created over a year ago. That's how long I've had this idea rolling around in my mind, how much I really wish to have put it together. And this morning it finally happened. And I finally got to see the audience reaction, and it was tremendous and amazing that it's gotten so much positive response. I really want to especially thank all of my Patreon contributors because I know that this could not have happened without their support and everyone telling me that we really want to see this. And that's when Starbat and I started chatting with each other on how difficult it would be to put this together, and a lot of voice actresses were messaging me out of the blue, including Miss Carmen here, saying that they wanted to take part, and I'm really glad that you actually did message me because it would have been really hard for me to try and reach out to people I don't know and ask if they wanted to do something. I am a bit curious, Carmen. Where did you hear about this project?
Well, I watch your videos regularly, and then I really don't remember how I found out about the project. I honestly don't remember. I don't know. Did you announce that you needed people, or you announced that you were making the project? I don't know, it's through Patreon or through actual YouTube. But then I saw that you need a voice actor. I was like, hey, I'll help out, sure. And I just messaged this and was like, hey, why not? I'll message. If he doesn't answer, that's fine. But then I got a response, and it's like, just make a video, and like, I'll see how your voice works. And I was like, oh, okay. And then from there, just to this moment.
I remember asking you to put together an audition of Fluttershy's very first scene in the show because I wanted to see how you would handle her hesitation and shyness when meeting Twilight for the first time, but also her excitefulness when meeting Spike for the first time. I knew that this particular idea I had would need both ends of that spectrum, and you did very well. You were definitely among the top 3 contenders when I saw that video.
Oh, thank you.
And it was actually my Patreon supporters way back in the day. I put up an article on my Patreon page specifically for my supporters and listed 3 possible contenders for the voice of Fluttershy, and the majority of them voted for you, and that's how you got to be part of the project. And I'm glad that you were putting it together as well as you did because it was really fantastic. It is almost scarily show accurate how well you can pull off Fluttershy.
Thank you so much, and thank you to your Patreon supporters. Dr. Wolf's Patreon supporters, thank you, because you got me to be able to do this. So, and it was fun to record. It really was.
However, while I was looking for voice actresses, I was also at the same time trying to write up a script. And I was really, really unsure about what I was coming up with because I knew that I'm not a writer. as many people seem to think that I'm this fantastic writer with some of the ideas I come up with, it's really hard for me to write dialogue and make it sound natural, especially with fictional characters, because everybody has their own interpretation on how a fictional character should be.
Mm-hmm.
And I am immensely grateful that Starbat here actually helped me to write that script. He provided a lot of excellent feedback, and he even suggested a couple of ideas that we ended up using. So thank you very much for that, really. What did you think of that script when you first saw it, Starbat, the idea I came up with?
Well, the backbone of it seemed to work pretty well, I thought. I mean, it was pretty simple. You know, it's Twilight and Fluttershy in their waiting room, and they're waiting for Dr. Wolf, and Twilight is trying to reassure Fluttershy. There's just a couple of things about Fluttershy, how she responded to Twilight, and what Twilight said exactly that was supposed to be, you know, comforting. I just kind of tweaked things, changed them around a little bit, maybe added details. There was a point actually during the actual interview between Fluttershy and Dr. Wolf that I felt like Dr. Wolf was going on a little bit too long in these long-winded speeches, and Fluttershy wasn't getting enough voice time, and so I added the point where Dr. Wolf, I think he says, would it be fair to say perhaps that some small part of you actually believe what you were saying? I came up with that line just to invite Fluttershy to say a little bit more so that she could have more time on the microphone, basically, because the episode was about Fluttershy.
Yeah.
So just things like that. Again, the backbone of it was basically established by yourself. And of course, I went in and did the changes, and you changed things around again, and we kind of played off each other until we got a finalized version.
It was very easy for me to write for Dr. Wolf because I am essentially Dr. Wolf. I'm writing it the way I would react. Trying to write how Fluttershy would react. I have a very good idea of an outline on how she would react, but not the exact words she'd say. And it was really helpful getting that feedback from you to improve upon the dialogue. And I know I'm going to probably need similar feedback in future projects like this when I'm writing for other characters. And believe me, I've got ideas for some of the other characters that I want to interview. I've been looking through the comments of the video we released this morning, and there's already a ton of requests from people. They want to see the next video. They want to see what other characters I could do.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Same here.
So you got your work cut out for you.
I know I've got my work cut out for me. Everybody's going to want their own favorite characters in this series. And do you know how many great characters out of MLP have potential for this sort of setup? Yeah. I could be working on this for a solid year and not get through the list.
It'll go on forever.
Anyways, Carmen, I was actually curious what your thoughts on the script were when you were first reading through it and first recording lines for it. What was going through your mind?
Well, because I read everything before I record, because if you don't read before you record, obviously the emotion isn't the same. So I was reading through it, and I really liked it, to be honest, because when you read through it, like, I relate it to a show and don't read it as, like, a script, and I'm like, oh, that's true, and, like, trying to just piece it together. And I really liked the script, to be honest. And then when I was recording it, by the way, recording paragraphs is a pain, because one mistake and the take is bad. But aside from that, I genuinely like the script, and I like how it flowed. Obviously, wonderful job to both you and Starbat with the editing. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly.
Oh, and I especially love the bit, like, at the beginning. It's like, oh, so you're actually a wolf. Do you live among ponies? How is it? And it's like, just calm down, let me answer your questions first. And she's like, oh, okay.
Even when you're playing Fluttershy casually, it's amazing to hear that coming from you, because it sounds almost scarily show accurate. It's just, you have this natural gift for it.
Thank you so much. Practice. Just practice.
All right, Starbat, if I recall correctly, you had some few things to show us about what went into the artwork step by step, and perhaps even some screens you wanted to show to everyone?
Yeah. Well, actually, probably the first step to take into account is the script. So this is actually a fair bit because I've been involved in other Among with Dr. Wolf videos that you've done. Obviously, I did Toon and Eliora and Silverquill,
Plus
and
the
I
one
did.
that you were part of.
Yes, that's true. So this video was quite a bit different from them because it was like more like doing a storyboard, which is not something I've ever done before. Um, so the first thing I'd like to show you actually is just what I did. Can you see that? Can you see my Word file?
I can, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I just took the script that you and I came up with, and I broke up the lines into what I guess it's kind of hard to see, but these red words here is panel 3, panel 4, and I broke up the dialogue according to how the expression changes or the scene changes would be. So that's where the storyboarding came in, and I would basically imagine what kind of expression she would have here for panel 3. Twilight what talks to Fluttershy concerned. Fluttershy is sitting nervously. And there were so many expressions in this one. If I'm doing something for Silverquill or something, all I have to do is say Dr. Wolf looking sympathetic, or Dr. Wolf looking pensive, or Silverquill looking annoyed, or Eliora looking annoyed, or something like that. But in this one, Fluttershy looking sad or looking nervous, it has so many different contexts through the video that I couldn't just use that. It would be too confusing. So instead I come up with this this coding system. Hold on, let me show you something else. Hold on. Can you still see my Word file?
I can still see the script, yep.
Okay, hold on.
Now I see your face.
Okay, I'm just changing things up.
Oh, live stream inception. Or podcast inception.
Yeah.
Video within video at this point.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
There we go, yes.
Okay, so instead I came up with these codes here. So D for Dr. Wolf, G for background G, 8 for expression 8. So I had to come up with these codes for every individual background, and there were I numbered the backgrounds A through G. So how many backgrounds is that? Several. So you can see here. Oh, yeah, you can see Twilight and all that there. TF4, TF2. And so, just to illustrate, so that's the coding system I had to come up with to keep everything organized, basically. And something else to show you. Well, I suppose I should have showed this to you first. So once I have the expressions that I think are appropriate, I just have to sketch them. And this is the initial sketch of the office. Can you see that? The office lobby? Waiting
Yes,
room?
we can.
Okay. And just wish I could jump from screen to screen quickly here. Here we are. So there's the finished one, obviously. So you can just compare the sketch to the finished product there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would do is I would take the initial sketch, and just to take this example, there's Fluttershy and Twilight sitting on their bench. I would actually superimpose those sketches onto the background so that I could play through the whole video just with them as sketches. And that way I can kind of get a sense of how the video would flow overall, and I can see mistakes that I might make and expressions or exactly how the cues come together. And I actually created the video 3 or 4 or 5 times before Dr. Wolf even did, so that I could see these mistakes come up and change little details. Like if I were to switch back to, because there's a moment where Fluttershy is on her couch, and then she sits up, and that brings her eyes higher than they were originally. And I didn't notice this until probably the last couple of weeks of working on this, that Dr. Wolf is staring kind of down at her where she is. Here she is reclined on the couch. So there, her eyes are going out, pointing that way. But as soon as she sits up, like she is here, then her eyes are higher. Now Dr. Wolf is kind of staring down at where she would be on the couch here in what I'm calling DG4. But I didn't realize this until the last couple of weeks that he's not maintaining eye contact with her as soon as she sits up. So I had to, through a sort of copy and paste process, create a whole new set of Dr. Wolf expressions where the only thing that's different is that his eyes are pointing forward slightly. So here's up here. So that's just a little detail that I wouldn't have even noticed if I hadn't been putting it together the whole time. And so it's only so these kind of little details I have to work out as I go. And so that was a long and kind of tedious process, really. But I think it was worth it in the end because I tend to quibble over these kinds of details. And if I just bring this up, I can show you how I brought it together. I use Adobe Premiere in my editing. Dr. Wolf uses iMovie, isn't that right?
Yes, I use iMovie to make all of my videos. I have no idea how it compares to other video editing software. I just learned to use it because that's all that was available to me, and it's been more than good enough to create all the content I've put together thus far.
Yeah, so you can see that here, right? I have all the panels laid out in Adobe Premiere here. And there's this, you can see the audio track down here on the bottom, and there's the door close sound that I inserted for when Fluttershy is entering the room. And so all I did was I just, copied and pasted Fluttershy, and then I changed her expression. Yeah, and that's all there is to it, really. And then once I have all the panels established in that way, I can show this to you as well. This is what I send Dr. Wolf at the end once everything is done. Here we are. So there they are. Those are all the panels. There's 77 of them in total.
Oh, wow.
So I put them together. I put them on my stash for Dr. Wolf to download, and he plugs them into iMovie and strings them together along with the audio, and he makes any last-minute little editing changes he wants to make, and then the video is done. So that whole process took 4 months, about 4 months, and I guess it wouldn't have taken quite so long if I hadn't been in the middle of a move at the time. I think I lost about 5 or 6 weeks in production time just from that, but even taking that into account, it's been a very, very long process. But again, I think ultimately worth it because it turned out to be a great video, I think.
It really did.
It was a monumental project right from the start. I mean, even when I was first considering the idea in summer of last year, back when I was initially making videos here and there, I knew that even attempting something like this would be enormous. That getting so much custom artwork and getting voice actresses to really play the part, I just couldn't imagine that I'd ever get to this point because I never thought I'd garner enough attention from an audience to say, hey, we'll support you in this. We really want to see Dr. Wolf do this. And yeah, it's like the culmination of a dream over these past many months. I've been putting together videos probably, oh goodness, I've put together maybe over 300 at this point. Even though I haven't uploaded that many, I've still got a few more in the waiting list. But yeah, even folks like Starbat here, when I was first coming up with the idea for A Moment with Dr. Wolf. This was a conversation that was in the Rift Skype Cafe, the Skype Rift Cafe chat group. That was back in late November, and it was during my 5,000 subscriber special video that I put out the call to artists. We need artists. Yeah. And you were one of the first people to message me. I remember that. But
was I really?
You couldn't start working on anything until over a month later.
That's right. I was in the middle of something at the time. Christmas. It was the Christmas season, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Toon was the first one I did. Yeah. And was that before or after the Voice of Reason video came out? I can't remember now.
The Toon video was the second in the series.
Oh, okay.
But the Toon video had actually been completed before the Voice of Reason video. I knew that the Voice of Reason video should be the first because the first video in any series, it has to grab the audience. It has to pull them in and make them want to see more. And with the amount of work Give and Take was putting into that, something like 230 images, I knew that people would be more entertained by a more comedic script rather than a more serious script.
It was more of a skit. And that one, in terms of panel numbers, is even larger than the Fluttershy video.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Carmen, I know that you finished your lines for this project way back in May and that you've been waiting a very long time to finally see the finished product for everything.
It's been worth the wait, though.
Yeah, it has been worth the wait, but I'm curious, and I'm sure that many people in the audience are curious, what sort of projects are you working on nowadays?
Well, the one that is, like, primary, like, ongoing since the past November is Bride of Discord, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. So there's that. I'm also helping out in, can I say it? Yeah, I can say this. The Milo Investigations. I'm helping out as Fluttershy as well as Masquerade, which is like a tired, like, waitress type character. It's really fun. What else? I know there's other stuff. There's other things that I honestly can't come up with right now. But I know there's a lot of collabs in the works. I had a couple collabs released today. Well, one of them being this project, but I had like a couple other ones. I just have stuff all over the place, in all honesty.
It's nice to see that so many people are taking notice of your talents and using them in very entertaining ways.
No, but people who watch my videos and stuff, thank you so much. And side note, I'm almost reaching 10,000 subscribers. I think I'm at 9,000. I think I only have like 20 more to go. And a good boost has been from this video. So, like, thank you, Dr. Wolf. Thank you, Starbat. And just thank you, viewers. And I read the compliments in the video, and they are absolutely lovely. I was reading them earlier when I was over on my college campus, and I'm just there smiling like an idiot at my computer screen. I'm like, these people, people are so nice.
Well, thank you once again for being a part of this project, and thank you to my Patreon supporters for getting her into this, because she was one of the final contenders, and you were the ones who decided that Mary Medley should be doing this, and it turned out fantastic. So thanks again for all of that.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the right choice, I think.
Now, I know that people are already clamoring for the next video in the series. I'm going to say right now, I have ideas for more videos, but I have not written any scripts yet. I don't have any other artists working on projects yet. I've got enough of the normal A Moment with Dr. Wolf series videos going on. I've always got at least half a dozen of those in progress. But as for any more of the main 6 videos, none of those have been started yet. And with the Fluttershy video having this much detail and this much work put into it, it's going to take a while to do the next one. It really is. I want to do all of the main 6. I really, really do. I have at least a basic idea for all of them and more developed ideas for at least 2 others. I'm debating whether I want to do an Applejack video next or a Pinkie Pie video next. And I know I'm going to start seeing voting in the comments section on YouTube here about who should be my next video, but
There's going to be a war going out.
I know. Everybody has their favorite characters that they want to see come out next, especially if I can get competent voice actresses to play the parts and really good artwork to go with it. But in there, that's also part of why I wanted to put this podcast together, because not only do I want to promote the video that I released this morning, and yeah, I really want this to be spread throughout more than just YouTube. If people in the audience could share this on Facebook and Tumblr and Twitter and Reddit pages, I want more people to take notice of these projects. I want more people to be supporting the work, because I want to do more of these videos. I've got lots more ideas that I want to put into effect. So that's one thing that people in the audience can do right now. Share this video, spread it to other websites, and help people know that it exists. Because, yeah, people like Starbat and Carmen here put in a lot of really hard work into this project, and they did a fantastic job, and I'd like to see people noticing and appreciating all the work that goes into these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that in mind, I also wanted to talk about future projects.
Yay.
Yeah. I said it early on in this podcast, and I'll say it again. This would not have happened were it not for my Patreon supporters. It was the fact that so many people were willing to give towards this channel and encourage me in these ideas that this actually came to be. I am deeply grateful for every single one of you who have even just given a couple of dollars. It does make a difference. I've been using every bit of money that has come in through Patreon has gone specifically for the channel and in attending conventions around the country. I wouldn't have been able to attend BronyCon over in Baltimore were it not for my Patreon contributors. And I want to be able to continue doing more projects like this, and I want to be able to support the people who are working with me, especially people like Starbat here, who put in so much work even before I had a Patreon support page. I mean, he put together the Toon video, the Elioria video, the Silver Quill video, and the Equity Mend video, all before Patreon had gotten started. And when we were scripting this Fluttershy idea together, he has given so much of his own support in making this happen. And it really wouldn't have happened if I didn't have all that feedback and those impressive artistic talents. I really got to say that.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's good to be helping, you know.
Yes. I know that line very well. It is good to be helping. But I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to make it so that you can keep doing more projects like this, because it took an immense amount of effort on your part to do a video like this. And I know that you've said you want to do more, but I want to be able to support you in doing more. And that's one of the reasons why I need to build up that Patreon support. Even just a couple of dollars a month, it does make a difference, because I want to be able to get artists and animators like Starbat here to work more consistently on these projects and get them out a little quicker and even better quality over time. So I hope that everyone who's listening today will bear that in mind and just maybe help support projects like these by sharing the video I released this morning on other websites and getting other people to notice it, or being a Patreon supporter would be an immense help. Even just a little bit makes a real difference in the long run. And like I've said before, everything I'm getting is going towards the channel. is going towards the people who are working with me. Every dollar that comes in.
And I believe that your Patreon supporters got an advanced preview of a
Yes.
work in progress, so they got that advantage as well.
Yeah. Not only did the Patreon supporters get to vote on using Carmen in this video, they also got a preview video of one of the early work in process videos that you had made, Starbat, of that initial opening scene.
Yeah, it was just sketches on the background at that point, but you could clearly see what it was going to be.
But that's just one of the things that I've been trying to do to give back to my Patreon supporters, because they have been so helpful and so supportive in everything they've done. All right. Oh, goodness, I've been talking for a long time. Good, I went on a real spiel there. Was there anything else that was on either of your minds that you wanted to add?
Well, I suppose I could also talk about some people may have noticed that there's a bit of a change in Dr. Wolf's look compared with previous videos. He's obviously taller, his clothes are a little bit different, and the shape of his face is different. Um, that's just a little bit of a stylistic change that I decided to do for this video, and I feel like it looks better. Dr. Wolf kind of disagrees with me. He likes the old version too. But probably one of the big practical reasons why I made that change is because of the way we were doing the video, which is different than previous videos, again, where we actually show Fluttershy walking into the room and getting onto the couch. In previous videos, they're already on the couch. So I didn't really know how to make Dr. Wolf sit down unless he was tall enough for the chair. So I had to make him taller and show him interacting with the background as he sat down. So that was kind of one of the reasons why I decided to change Dr. Wolf's look, in case anybody was wondering about that. Let's see. Are we getting any questions, Dr. Wolf?
If you want to open up the floor to questions from the audience, I know there are a ton of people here who would love to get our take on certain ideas. And being that this is a first-time podcast for both of you, I imagine that there's going to be a number of questions specifically for either of you to come through.
In that case, let the questions fire away.
Yeah.
Let's see what we get.
Oh, goodness. What sort of comments have we got going on?
Let's see. Gotta scroll up. There are a lot. Okay. I'm trying to see what people voted. Oh, but that's really far up. Okay.
A moment with Dr. Wolf with AVGN. Sorry, no, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Okay, Philip Ottison is asking, do you have a headcanon for your character, Dr. Wolf 001? I have had a number of people over the months ask me to come up with an origin story of Dr. Wolf. And I have a couple of ideas that might work, but I've never put together anything concrete. It would be an interesting idea if I ever could make it work, because, yeah, I'd love to make a video about Dr. Wolf's origins, but I suppose I'm going to have to work with an actual writer, because, yeah, I'd like to toss ideas back and forth with one of the more accomplished fan fiction writers, like on filmfiction.net, someone who has shown that they have a history of creating really good stories with really interesting characters. If I could talk to someone and spin a story that way, yeah, there's potential there. I haven't come up with a complete origin story yet, but in time that may happen.
So I just have to wait and see.
Yeah. What other questions do we got? This one is from Godzilla Wolf 1. Doctor, how did you decide on what problem Fluttershy would be facing? I have noticed specific parts of the show where Fluttershy shows that she is not as calm and shy as we normally see her. I was thinking about the moments when she had given into an outburst of anger or frustration, and I was trying to think, well, what would go into those feeling that way when she's so calm and kind for most of the rest of the series. And yeah, in many ways I do relate to Fluttershy's character, and I in part thought how I would react to it, how other people who are very much like Fluttershy, how other people would react to it, and yeah, it did make sense in that specific way that Fluttershy bottles up her feelings in so many ways because she doesn't want to disappoint others, she doesn't want to get upset with others, she would rather be this kind individual. And yeah, she has very noble reasons for doing so, but in the end, this is something that I thought would be very relatable for the audience, because if you are constantly bottling up any negative feelings you may have, you keep ignoring them, pretending that they don't exist, then they can exhibit themselves in ways that you may not expect or even understand. And yeah, I'm hoping that some people who watch this video I released this morning will look at this conversation I have with Fluttershy and think, you know, maybe I should be thinking about things a little bit differently too, because maybe I bottle up my feelings that way. I hope some people learn from that. What other questions we got here? Okay, here's a question from Storm Chaser. Carmen, do you have a headcanon for your OC?
I honestly don't. The story behind like the making of my OC, I was like, oh, because I had originally talked to like a group of people that I had met like after my first couple videos when I first started back in July of last year, and they were like, you should have an OC. I didn't even know what an OC was. So I was like, okay, so I just made something, and then I came up with the name Mary Medley because, like, alliteration, it sounded cool. But I never thought of coming up with a backstory. I don't know if that'll be something I should do. I think it'd be fun, but I don't know what it exactly would be.
Well, maybe one of your fans can come up with ideas that you can work with.
If they want to do that, by all means, send it to me. Oh, I have a question from Dylan Severin. Carmen, what other things have you done in the brony community besides voice acting? I've done voice acting, and then I've also done singing, but the singing has been limited-ish. I haven't done much. Simple answer.
I actually really enjoyed your rendition of that song from Anastasia that you sung in Fluttershy's voice.
Once Upon a December.
That was gorgeous. Oh,
Thank
that was so well done. I highly recommend that for anyone who hasn't heard that yet. Go check out Carmen's channel and listen even to just that one video. It is beautiful.
Thank you for the promotion. No, but I had actually done that for an audition. That's another thing I'm doing. It's like a ponified version of Anastasia. It's called Flutterstasia, and then so there's that too. Oh my god, I don't remember everything. This is a problem.
Do we have any questions here for Starbat? I mean, you'd think there might be a few aspiring artists in the audience to ask his advice on doing art.
Guys,
no, where are the artists
at?
at?
I've lost sound. I might have to just hang up and log back in.
Oh, sorry to hear about that.
Okay.
Well, in the meantime, let's see, what other questions have we got? Let's see. This one is for all of you. How do you really start out a brony channel? In my case, I knew that I had a lot to say that I hadn't really heard from anyone else, particularly Fluttershy as a character, because I was listening to a lot of other reviewers and analysts in early 2013, and I liked a lot of their content, but none of them seemed to really like Fluttershy as a character. They didn't seem to think too highly of her back then. And I knew that she is a great character. She does have a lot of inspiring moments, but how was I going to put together a video? And one of the days back in May, I finally decided I'm going to figure this out. I have no idea whether anyone is even going to watch this video, but I am determined to even just get a few people to listen about why Fluttershy is an inspiring character and why her weakness is part of her greatest strength. That's what got me started. So, how about you, Carmen? What got you started on a brony channel?
In all honesty, I was bored because prior to making my channel, I had met some of the voice actors, but at the time I wasn't really into the show. But then for some reason, between meeting them and like just being at home bored during the summer, I was like, I'm gonna make a channel and make some voice reels because why not? So I made some voice reels, and then I just got bored and started making more stuff. But then people started liking my content. I was like, wow, okay, I can actually do this as a thing, like for fun and as a hobby. So basically, because of the feedback I got inspired to actually make it a brony channel, because I do other stuff as well, not just pony stuff, though that is the main thing. So, I don't know. The primary result of making the channel was boredom. If you're bored, make a YouTube channel.
How about you, Starbat? What got you going on making MLP-related artwork?
Well, I just got into the show back in the summer of 2012. I resisted becoming a brony, but ultimately to no avail. So there I was, and it was at that time only season 2 existed, and I watched all the way to the end, and I wanted more. So that's when I got into the fan art community. I saw whole sorts of fan fictions and things like this, and basically I was just inspired by all the crossover ideas. And one of the earliest was a very interesting crossover between MLP and the Alien franchise. And for those interested, you can go to my gallery and find one of my very first MLP art pieces was Fluttershy waking up next to a pony alien. So it's mostly been inspiration by crossover ideas like that. I've done a few that are just straight up fan art of the show itself, like Twilight Caught in the Rain. That's another one I did. But mostly I've done things like, fan art for Journey of the Spark and a few comic ideas where I took like a sort of a comic where I made fun of the Mummy franchise and all these different ideas. I suppose coming up with original ideas is a bit of an issue for me because I just keep coming up with these crossover ideas. And right now, the biggest thing that I'm kind of working on is this fan fiction I discovered, a Mighty Demon Slayer Groups and Ponies, one that I really like. And I liked it so much that I plan to do a full comic book adaptation of it. And the author has expressed enthusiasm for my idea, and he's looking forward to me eventually being able to make that happen. And I've gotten started on it, but I keep getting sidetracked by other collaborative projects, like, frankly, this Fluttershy video. And that's kind of just, there's no shortage of stuff for me to do. I just got to find the time to do it, and I sometimes flip from idea to idea in a way that makes it difficult for me to finish any one idea consistently. So I don't have a YouTube channel or anything. I kind of started a Patreon, but I haven't really done anything with it yet. I'm hoping to maybe do something like that once I get going on the comic. But yeah, it's basically just me jumping on projects as they come up, as the ideas hit me.
There's a question here from Princess Luna. Starbat, can you make a tutorial on how to draw like you?
I suppose I could. I draw a lot of inspiration from other artists, like KP Shadow Squirrel is a big one. A lot of my ideas for posture and stuff like that I've kind of gleaned from his work. I think it's a he. But yeah, I could totally do a tutorial if you want to see a step-by-step process of how I visualize the pony, how I structure their skeleton, if you will. And little things like how you change the shape of the eye depending on whether they're looking part way away from you and stuff like that. And maybe some tips about coloring and highlighting I could give as well. So yeah, I could make a tutorial like that. If that's those sort of thing that people would be interested in, I could put something like that together fairly quickly.
I'll bet there are a few aspiring artists who are looking to get noticed in the brony fandom and would definitely like to get some pointers.
Mm-hmm.
Although with that in mind, Carmen, would it make sense that you would make a video on how to do voice acting?
Considering I'm not the best when it comes to instructional videos, I suppose, because considering I'll ramble a lot, as I'm probably doing throughout this podcast, but oh well. I could try, but I don't think I'm in a position to, considering my like, I guess as far as how to voice act, maybe like techniques and whatnot, like how to set up the mic, what type of mic to get. Like, I could, but it'd probably be. I could do that in the future. We'll see. If people want that, that is. Because I can make it and be like, if people want to watch it, have fun. But if people would be interested, like aspiring voice actors, if they want to figure out how they can start, what they should do prior to voice acting, or like training, if any, I don't know. See, this is the rambling. I apologize.
I've put together a number of videos that are just based around the hope that if I can help even just a few people, even just a few, then it'll be worth the effort. If I can inspire a few people to start making content of their own, to start writing stories or start drawing pictures or start voice acting or making videos or start learning how to edit in certain programs, anything to contribute to the brony fandom. I've been encouraging that over the course of several videos from the very beginning. If I can even just get a few people to get started, I will say it's worth the effort. You never know unless you try.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
To inspire people to like also take part in the brony community.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really positive way to look at it. I like that.
But I find that people sometimes get discouraged if they're not, being, patted on the back all the time. So I suppose my advice would be to do it because you are inspired within yourself to do it, and to the point where it doesn't necessarily matter if you become as big as somebody like Silver Quill or something. You're just doing it because you like it. I'm sure, people have heard that before, but it is basically what it's all about, right?
Mm-hmm. You have to love what you're doing, otherwise it's like empty.
Yeah.
And there's
If you have
yeah.
if you go in without expectations, but if you're doing it with passion and you really put a lot of work into it, chances are you'll get somewhere with it.
Mm.
There's a question here about Starbat. What is your favorite project as a brony? I think the answer to that is kind of simple. It's this one, because it's just been such a big project, and it involves canon characters, which is great. And I knew that when it was finished, that a lot of people were going to see it, and that people were going to enjoy what the final product was. And so that was just really inspiring. Probably the most motivating projects I've been on so far, really. So yeah, this one.
Well, perhaps in due time you may get to do another one. We'll see.
Okay. I have another question. Have you considered becoming a book illustrator? I think you'd be a very good one. Oh, well, thank you. I have vaguely considered something like that, but I'm not entirely sure how to get into that industry. I suppose I could look into it more, but I don't really, honestly, I know people praise me about what I've done with this project, but I don't feel that confident really in my artistic abilities in terms of how well it would succeed in a professional setting. So I feel like if I ever want to go with something like that, I have a lot of practicing to do before I would even consider something like that. And probably expand into different styles and stuff like that, and so I have a broader palette to work with. Any other interesting questions?
Scrolling through. I don't understand this question. Rainbow Dashi asks, is Carmen the only one who recorded those pony wake-up alarms? What?
I
have... Oh, I honestly do not know what they're talking about.
Okay then.
Moving on.
Right.
Why do you like My Little Pony?
Oh, goodness. It's exceeded so many of my expectations in ways I never would have thought possible. Goodness. The characters are varied and yet still quite relatable and entertaining and just fun. There's this very simple joy that I get out of watching MLP, that no matter what I've been going through at work, I can come home and I can watch an episode of MLP and it just makes me smile. It's that simple joy that just takes away whatever stress I'm going through. And at the same time, I've managed to find a surprising amount of depth in the show. And a lot of people have enjoyed all the little intricacies that I keep talking about here and there. How about you two?
Well, in a nutshell, the same answer. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
For me, well, like you said, it's like amazing content and saying things you said. But particularly for me, it's the themes that the show gives, and also like the music is also what really gets me into the show.
Oh yeah, the music is very memorable.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first week I watched MLP, I had Winter Wrap-Up rattling around in my head for days.
I'm sure that happened to a lot of people. There is a question here from Mr. Jazz 1401. Would any of you consider traveling overseas to attend other brony conventions? Wow.
Oh,
okay. I have attended 2 conventions this year thus far. BronyCon in Baltimore and Crystal Mountain PonyCon in Salt Lake City. The only reason I was able to go to Baltimore was because of my Patreon supporters. I wouldn't have been able to do that trip otherwise. And I managed to make it to Crystal Mountain PonyCon in Salt Lake City because that's within driving distance. That's no brainer. There's another convention in Dallas coming up next month that, again, because of my Patreon supporters, I will be able to attend there. I would consider going to, say, Europe. I know there are a lot of really big conventions over there for bronies. I would consider it if I had the budget for it and enough of my Patreon contributors were voting for me to go there. that's what's stopping me from attending conventions in other countries. If I have the budget and my audience wants me to be there, then I will be there.
Yeah, me too. Although I've been trying to attend any kind of, I haven't been to any kind of brony convention so far. Just going to one here in North America would be a big thing for me. So I'm going to try to accomplish that much before I consider going overseas for one. Although I would certainly like to do that at some point. But again, it's an issue of budget and how much people really want me there. Um, I can't say I have that much of a, certainly not as much of a following as Dr. Wolf does. So probably he'd have more of a drive to go there than I would anyway. But it would certainly be an adventure.
Well, if you did manage to get to a convention, I'm sure you could set up a vendor table and try to recoup some of your expenses by selling some of your artwork.
Oh my. I've never sold my artwork before. I've done a few commissions, but not in that way. So that in itself would be a change for me. So, yeah.
What about you, Carmen? Have you been to any brony conventions yet?
I unfortunately have not. I've been to like anime conventions like locally where I live, but I've never been to a brony convention. But I would absolutely love to. The only problem is funds, because since I'm like in college, there's no money for anything. The only money I make is through tutoring, and like even that doesn't bring in too much because I have to manage my money. And if I could go to a convention, like I wanted to aim to go to BronyCon 2015, but even that I feel like a stretch. But if I could somehow get money for it, or raise enough money, or save enough, or parents are willing to help out with me, I would love to go. And if people want to see me there, like I will try to go, and I think it would be a great experience.
Well, I would actually recommend putting out a video a few months before BronyCon of next year and say, hey, I'm starting a fundraiser. If people would like to see me at BronyCon, especially if I could help run a certain panel there with other voice actresses, I'd love to go. Do you want to help me get there? You know what? Ink Rose did that exact same thing. She managed to raise enough money for both herself and her mother to go to BronyCon. And
That's awesome.
yeah, you've gotten nearly 10,000 subscribers by now. Imagine how many you'll have in another 6 months. Maybe that's an option you can do. Put together a fundraiser video.
That seems like a very possible option. The only thing, because with fundraisers, I know I wouldn't just do a fundraiser that people would just give money and I wouldn't give anything back. I want to give something back if I were to do a fundraiser. The thing is, I don't know what. That's the only like issue that I have with that.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll think of something.
I hope so.
I got a question here. Starbat, were you born a natural or did you learn? From Princess Luna. Well, I don't know if I necessarily consider myself a natural. If you are really talented, like talent is a rare thing, really. Talent is doing landscape oil paintings when you're 11 years old. I learned. I started drawing actually kind of late, really. People who are really into art say they started when they were 5 years old or 4 years old when they first picked up a crayon. I didn't really start doing it seriously until I was 13. And then even then I kind of fell out of it after I finished high school. And I kind of just did it off and on with Zelda fan art and stuff. And it's only been since discovering MLP that I've had the inspiration to just keep going and going and going with it. So it's just been experience. It's just been practicing and looking at online tutorials and studying anatomy and stuff like that. Just on my own time. I'm not formally trained or anything. So it's just been my own effort. And if I can do it, anybody can do it, really. What are some other modern cartoons you guys watch?
Oh, goodness. My Little Pony has been pretty much the only cartoon I've been watching over these past months. A lot of my free time is spent making my own video content for YouTube because I think that's a very good use of my time, and my audience certainly appreciates it. I think the only exception in maybe the past year has been Avatar: The Last Airbender because, again, at the request of my watchers, they wanted to know my impressions of those episodes. And I put together a few videos back in, what was it, October through December. I went through the entire series back then. Other than that, though, it's been pretty much just watching MLP. I know I'm going to be watching Rainbow Rocks tomorrow, and if I'm fortunate, I may be able to get a review of that movie out on my channel that same day. We'll see.
Nice.
What about you two?
My answer is very similar to yours. I'm not, despite the MLP thing, I'm not really in the habit of watching cartoons. The only other cartoon recently that I've watched really is the same as you, Dr. Wolf, is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Because it's just, oh, and to a lesser extent, Korra. I've seen the first season of Korra, just because that's just been a great franchise itself on it as well. Although I'm not sure how, if you'd consider that even that a modern cartoon anymore, because Avatar is like mid 2000s, I think, at this point. So it's almost 10 years old already. But that's probably the big one that would come to mind for me. Other than that, the cartoons that I've watched have been cartoons that I basically grew up with. Ren and Stimpy and Animaniacs and stuff like that. Pinky and the Brain. What about you, Carmen?
As far as shows for me, well, mainly My Little Pony, but one that I recently caught up with, which I absolutely love, is Gravity Falls. I absolutely love that show. There's also Adventure Time, but I've only gotten through the first season. And at least from what I heard from other people, as the seasons go on, I think either a writer change or director change, and it goes in like a stranger perspective. I don't know. But I'm planning to catch up on that at one point. But other than that, well, Korra, I watched the first 2 seasons, and I think they already wrapped up the third season. But yeah, other than those few, not really much anything else.
How do you guys balance your time between making videos and your own personal lives?
Uh,
I think that's mostly for you, Dr. Wolf. I don't make videos.
As many of you probably already know, I have a full-time career as an accountant. And yeah, that takes up enough of my day that when I come home, I'm already starting to feel mentally drained. But I feel driven enough to keep squeezing out some creative juices and write up scripts and edit projects and record dialogue for videos, and that takes another 20 to 25 hours a week depending on what I'm working on. So yeah, that definitely keeps me busy, but I still have time to enjoy life. I definitely enjoy reading everything that people write to me because I feel like I'm being a positive influence in the lives of so many others, and I'm at the same time at least being a little entertaining, a little thought-provoking. It gives me good purpose. I have really grown to despise that feeling of idleness. It's really hard for me to just sit on the couch and watch TV for hours on end. I feel anxious. I got to get up and I got to do something. I got to create something. And maybe I've just built up that habit over time because I've been doing this for so long, 3 to 5 videos every week non-stop for over 16 months now.
I applaud you for that.
I still think it's a very good use of time, though. I'm certainly a lot more social than I've ever been. I have reached out to far more people than at any other point in my life. I feel like I'm serving a far better purpose than spending hours watching TV or playing video games like I used to. And I'm improving upon my talents. not just with voice acting and writing scripts and learning how to edit videos, but also getting in front of an audience and improving like I am now, just coming up with stuff to talk about and being coherent, I suppose. Public speaking is a very difficult skill to learn, but I'm getting better at it. In time, I hope to be continuing to get better at it.
Question: do you think you can answer all these questions?
Definitely not.
Unfortunately not. We
try.
try. There's too many. Let's see what else. How would you react to someone writing fan fiction involving your character?
I would be interested to see that. I really think that as long as the writer keeps the character of Dr. Wolf intact and that you are putting him in a story that would be at most PG, because I don't want him taking part in projects that would have anything to do with mature themes. But yeah, I'd be curious if somebody wanted to write about Dr. Wolf, as long as they kept those criteria in mind.
Yeah. I suppose I would be interested in as well, though can't imagine anyone using my OC. Carmen, I think this is a question for you. What's your opinion of the Bride of Discord audio series?
Well, that project is near and dear to my heart. I love it, both the story and the cast, both VAs and artists. I just love it. It was my first big project that I got to know a lot of people, and it made me feel connected as like a family with the cast, and it made me more outspoken, to be honest. I made some good friends, and yeah, I love it.
Let's see. What are your thoughts on girls being called bronies?
That's perfectly fine. I've never really had issue with using the term bronies or Pegasisters. I understand that some people prefer one or the other, and that's okay.
Same here. It's fine.
Same here. I think it's easier. I think that brony has more of a ring to it than Pegasister. And just using a single term is just simpler.
Mm-hmm.
So, considering brony a gender-neutral term.
There's a question here from the Canbazia. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Dr. Wolf, what microphone do you use for your voice acting? Well, you can take a look over here. This is called a Shure SM58. It is not a super high quality microphone. It's not what I would consider professional level, but it is reliable. When I was doing my research all those months ago to get a better microphone than the one on my laptop, I wanted to find something that was reliable. And it's actually a lot cheaper than a lot of the other microphones and works just fine. My voice comes through very clearly and concisely for everything I've done since then. So yeah, if you want to get into recording your voice, something better than an onboard microphone, this has worked very well for me, the Shure SM58. It doesn't cost near as much as the professional level microphones, and it's very reliable and very durable. Very easy to use.
Someone here is asking me, what is your OC? So I'll just show that on the screen share for a second. That's my OC right there. He appeared on the Equity Mend A Moment with Dr. Wolf back in January, I think it was.
Oh no, that actually came out in early May.
Oh, was it that recent? Wow.
You see,
Oh
the
yeah.
Toon video, I think that came out in February.
Oh yes,
And
yes,
then
yes. It was
Eliora video came out in March. Silver Quill came out early April, I think.
Wow.
Yours was
I
early
gotta.
May.
Yeah, because Silver Quill was late March, early April, something like that. For yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's him. That's that's what he is. If that answers your question. And that. Ah, there we go.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Well, I like this person's question. DigiCade813. Do you think having YouTube content, particularly in this fandom, could help someone become more social or outgoing? And if so, what's the first step to becoming part of a collab?
Well, why don't you give your impressions first, Carmen? I have a few things I want to say, but what would you answer that question?
To get straight to the point, I think it really does help in becoming more social and outgoing. I know it has for me. I've been more social than ever. I know in the past I've been ridiculously shy, and I relate to Fluttershy a lot, but that I digress. But as far as becoming part of a collab, simple solution, you just ask. The worst thing that the person could say is no. And not everyone's going to say no, that being said. So it's just the matter of asking and then give suggestions as far as what you want to do for the collab. And yeah, simple as that, I guess. I guess it's easier said than done.
Well, I can say hands down, starting a YouTube channel and creating content has absolutely made me more social than at any other point in my entire life. I have learned a lot about how to reach out to others and how to help encourage others to reach out to me and to others beyond that. So, yeah, I would encourage people to contribute to the Brony fandom in their own way. It doesn't have to be through YouTube content either. You could be writing stories and posting them on filmfiction.net, or you could be drawing artwork and post it on DeviantArt, or you could be going to pages on Reddit and showing your support by leaving comments and feedback to other people's projects and their art and their stories and their videos, because when you are reaching out to others and giving your honest opinions and trying to encourage them in positive ways, it helps to draw out your social side. It helps to reach out to others, even if you aren't making content of your own. Support those that do. That's one of the great things that I love about this fandom, is because they are far more welcoming and understanding and accepting and encouraging than any other fandom I have seen on the internet thus far.
Sometimes to a fault, but yes.
And as far as doing collaboration projects, I get dozens of requests every single month for collaborations. And I don't have the time to keep up with them all, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. At the very least, like Carmen said, the worst they can do is just say no. And that's okay. Not every idea that I come up with that involves other people actually gets anywhere, because they may not have the time, or they may not have the know-how, or they may not have the motivation. But that's okay. I'll find some other project to work on. I'll find some other people to work with. And yeah, I've probably worked with more people than any other Brony YouTuber ever. Honestly, I think I've done more collaboration projects than anyone I know in this community. At least I've worked with more people, that's for sure.
Yeah, this one's a little interesting to me. What are your thoughts on Journey of the Spark fan film? What's your other options on other fan films? How can they be done better? Well, that's one is interesting to me because I was actually part of the Journey of the Spark production team for a while. I ended up leaving that project because Well, because I was running out of time, I couldn't really keep up with it. That was basically the main thing. But also, I was even back then. That was back in when was that? Back in April, I think it was, or before that, March or February, something like that. Back there, I ended up having to leave the project because they kept changing the script, and a lot of the stuff that I had done at the beginning ended up becoming obsolete. I was doing backgrounds and part of the storyboards and stuff, and so when news came recently that the Journey of the Spark project had to end, and now it's going to be just a radio play or an audio play, I was not surprised because honestly, it was kind of just an organization issue, and not, and I was always a little bit. The focus should be on the script and making sure you have a good story and making sure you have a good handle on what the focus of the story is, and that way you avoid those drastic revisions down the road and personalities don't clash as much, and you're able to make it to the end. So that was a very large collaborative project, and big projects like that. I mean, Dr. Wolf and Carmen and I have been part of a fairly small collaborative project, and it's relatively easy to make something like that happen. But when you have dozens of people all working together, trying to stay organized, it can be a bit overwhelming. And so that's just the make sure you can chew that bite if you ever intend to do a project like that is the only advice I can say. And if you're doing it outside of a professional setting like an actual studio or corporation like Hasbro, then it can be a bit overwhelming. Just so you know that going in. That's all I have to say about that.
No, I've had a few, I think they were fan films, but I had a few projects that I was a part of that I too sadly had to drop out because I had too much on my hands. And even though one project I was a part of, everything was organized and it was beautiful, I don't know what the status of that project is now, but like you said, like with a larger number of people, the harder it is to have everybody working together. When it's a small group, it's much more manageable. So, yeah.
Alrighty, guys. I think it's about time that we start winding things down.
Oh, already?
But
Darn.
I do have a few things that I do need to prepare for tomorrow because I intend to watch Rainbow Rocks and come up with a review. We'll see. But I am immensely grateful for all the people who have supported this project right from the beginning. My Patreon contributors and all my watchers on YouTube, and Starbat for his amazing artistic talents, and Carmen here for her scarily show-accurate Fluttershy voice. This has been a wonderful project that has been rolling around in my head ever since summer of last year, and it's just amazing to see it finally come together and where the audience can see it. And forevermore, I'll probably be putting together more projects like these because it's just a ton of fun. And I hope that people are willing to support these projects in the future, and I look forward to doing many more of them. Do you have any final thoughts, Starbat?
Yeah, just thank you, everyone, for all of your wonderful feedback. It's what I've been looking forward to these past 4 months, and I really hope that I can continue to work on A Moment with Dr. Wolf videos like this. Maybe not quite as ambitious as the Fluttershy one, but I would certainly be happy to work on future canon characters as well.
And you, Miss Carmen?
Just thank you. Thank you to the people who supported the video. So happy that it's finally released and everybody enjoyed it. Thank you for allowing me to help out. It was a blast to record, and I cannot wait to see the future videos for the series.
Likewise. Thank you to everyone who tuned into this podcast. You asked some pretty engaging questions, and I hope that we get to see you all in the future. I hope everyone has a lovely evening, and it's good to be helping.
It's good to be helping.
Woo.
Good night.